Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk to you about demand generation and the full funnel approach of like an integrated marketing types of campaigns. So, a lot of companies that I talk to are trying to fill the top of their funnel and they don't really know how to go about it in a systematic fashion. They're generating leads, but they need to generate more. So, the first thing that I usually do is I look at the channels that this company or your company would be using. Do you have partner marketing? Your organic social, webinars, your paid media, your website, any events or trade shows that you're running, and content syndication. So within all of those channels, trying to understand where the leads are coming from and how they're converting. There's an entire process to run that through. It's the reverse waterfall. If you don't know what that is, I have another video about that. But basically, what you're looking at is all the conversion paths from all these different channels, from generating a lead all the way down to revenue, and trying to understand all the conversion points in there. So once you have all of your channels listed and then you have the math or the kind of waterfall for each of those channels, you can start having a better idea of where you want to start focusing your efforts. So at the top of the funnel, you want to have a lot of content that is educational. One of the things that I find companies making a big mistake in is when they have content that they're pushing out there, but it's collateral versus content. Collateral is, this is my company, this is what my widgets do, this is how I serve my customers. It's all about you. Whereas content is very educational, it's very top of funnel, it's aspirational, it's thought leadership, it's the things around your industry that are going to get people to pay attention to solve problems. Once you have all of your channels figured out with all of the numbers attached, then you have to start thinking through the top of the funnel. The top of the funnel is all educational content. It is thought leadership. It is things around your industry, specific pain points and how to address them. It has zero, maybe 5%. It has very little to do with your actual product or your company. One of the problems that I see a lot of companies running into is they have a top of funnel campaign, but it's all about them. It is, here's my widget, here's my service, here's whatever it is. And that is not going to get a lot of people's attention because people don't even know who you are, let alone want to hear about what your widget does. So you have to open this net and you have to find people that are looking to solve general problems in your industry. You should already have a better idea of what pains your customers are facing. So just talk about those pains, not how you specifically address them. Just talk about the pain and talk about how to address those pains without really injecting yourself too much into it. Within the top of the funnel, this is your webinars. You can have guest speakers. You can have a podcast. It could be a thought leadership within your own company. I know a lot of security companies that have their, heads of engineering or their security specialists all doing webinar series. And what this does is it starts answering the questions for your audiences. The top of the funnel is where you are getting the widest net. Then you move down into the middle of the funnel, which is when you start introducing your solution. Once they've gotten interested and they've generated a lead, now you need to figure out how do you ingest or get them involved with what you do. So it may be a webinar program, they get really interested in the webinar, they attend the webinar, they seem to have gotten some value from it, they watch the whole thing. Then what do you do next? You send them another email, you have some other type of contact with this individual, and you start introducing your product and how it addresses the same things that were in this webinar or whatever other lead capture was. That starts opening their eyes to, oh, I do have a problem, or I see a problem that could be happening, and this company educated me on this problem. Oh, and they have a product that does it. It's not a really fine line. They know the connection there, but it's not being thrown in their face. And then you start nurturing them through that. They may not be ready to buy today. They may not be able to buy for 3, 6, 9 months. Some sales cycles are a really long time. But the top of the funnel is where you're capturing all of these people. And then inside the middle of the funnel, we call it MOFU, is where you start nurturing them and you start injecting more thought leadership. It's still the top of the funnel stuff, but you're now injecting your product within that. And you're trying to get them into a demo. You're trying to get them into things that are going to get them into a sales cycle. Once they convert into an actual, like a sales qualified lead, something that sales is engaged with, typically marketing will walk away from it. What a lot of more modern companies are doing is they are allowing marketing to still have a layer within this where they've gotten through the middle of the funnel. They're now in the bottom of the funnel. They're making a decision. The sales rep is responsible for all the day-to-day interactions, kind of helping that deal move through. But marketing's role in the bottom of the funnel is to start providing assets and content that delivers enough value so that person will make a decision. So this is the case studies. These are use cases that could solve their problem specifically. This is all of those areas that you need to be building another layer of content for. If you can map that from the top of the funnel down through the bottom, what you're able to do, again, with this waterfall, is understand how your new efforts are generating more and more revenue for the company. But it doesn't stop there. So even with all of those channels, and then you build out the entire framework to bring in, top funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel content, once the client or the customer converts and they become a customer, you still have to work on retention. So what is marketing doing, or what are they producing that is going to retain that customer for a long extended period of time? You should all know what your lifetime value is for your customers. You want marketing's goal attached to keeping clients longer or customers longer. So you need to have a retention plan. So there's a whole marketing framework that gets built around retaining your customers for a longer period of time. Underneath that, you have an expansion layer. And the expansion layer is, okay, we've done all the work, we've educated them, we've told them about our solutions, we've made them make a decision, they're now our customers, we're working on retaining them for a longer extended period of time, but now we have other things that we want to sell into these customers. And once you have more things and they're happy and they are using your product, you have lots of metrics around this, you start working on ways to expand. And that's when sales gets more involved and they're trying to sell additional services or additional, kind of layers into your application. Marketing is responsible for helping with that. Usually that's more of a product marketing role, but in many companies that don't have robust product marketing roles, the marketing team is still responsible for creating this content and the campaigns around the expansion. The expansion piece is very similar to the top of the funnel because they are already in your product, they're using it, but they may not be aware of these 7 other features or this other package or add-on that they could buy. So you have to introduce it to them through the top of the funnel, again, by educating them through it. Once they are customers, it's much easier because you have their attention, but you run through the exact same matrix and you use the same channels to educate these individuals. Most cases, email is going to be the best channel. But when you layer in social and webinars and other pieces of your website or content syndication, and it starts hitting the customer's face more often, again, it's not being intrusive. They're already aware of who you are. Now you're just introducing these new things. Now they're going to want to know about that. And again, then it goes education, solution, and then ultimately a decision. And then you have a whole retention plan built around that. It's very much the same as the original one, but you have to have a retention plan that now has these additional products or services that are packaged into it. Once you have the expansion piece figured out, what you should be doing is looking at your top customers and then saying, how do we turn them into advocates? How do we use their stories? How do we use their successes in a way that then creates more value that we can then throw back into the top of the funnel to educate more people that will then get them involved with our solution? And then when it comes to them making a decision, we now have an entire group of individuals who have become advocates for our business. And they can be phone referrals. They could just be people who are on your webinars and you're creating content around how great your product is working for these individuals. There's 100 ways to kind of skin that. But that's how I think about a full funnel approach to demand generation. You have to have a top of the funnel, which is purely educational. It has very little, if anything, to do with your company. Then you have the middle of the funnel, which is where a lot of companies get kind of started and where they get stuck, is that they're always talking about their company and they're not branching out into a wider audience. And then obviously the bottom of the funnel, but then you have retention, expansion, and advocacy is what you want to really get to. You want to get to a point where your customers, your clients, are outwardly expressing happiness about what you've done for them in some format. And that's how I think about an integrated full funnel approach to demand generation. Come back for more.